was going to wing this today, but not happening. I wouldn't be able to get past the first line. But thank you guys all for being here today. I think we knew that there was going to be more people that we could accommodate today, but that just is such a testament to who Kris was. So I'm going to read, because if I wing this thing, it's not happening. In Hawaii, if I were to start this service in the most typical local way, I would probably start with something along the lines of aloha, family and friends of Kris Kanoho. And yet, as I look around this room, as I had a chance to meet a lot of you today, that just doesn't quite feel right, does it? So with that being said, let me just start off by saying aloha, family, period. Because that is really what we are, isn't it? Now, that's exactly how Kris made us all feel. More than friends, more than co-workers, more than bandmates, more than relatives. He made us feel like family, everyone. So on this beautiful evening, we find ourselves gathered here from so many different places around the world in this beautiful location as family, for one purpose only: to truly remember and wholeheartedly celebrate the incredible life of Kris Kanoho. Now, let's be honest, we all know Kris would not want tonight to be anything other than joyful. He wouldn't want us here mourning, and that's going to happen, I know that. But we know that Kris wouldn't want tonight to be sorrowful. So tonight, we celebrate, we remember, we share stories, we share memories, and we remember the way he lived his life, and we carry him with us for the rest of ours. So thank you guys for being here. My name is Kapono Kanoho, and I'm so very blessed to call myself the youngest, taller, a little bit more handsome younger brother of Kris Kanoho. Now, if Kris could recap the story of his own incredible life, I think it may have started something like this. On October 15th, 1973, the very firmaments and the heavens opened up and bestowed amongst all of us the greatest gift that any of us would ever know: the birth of Kristoffer Kale Kanoho. Now, personally, I think the heavens parted when I was born 5 years later. My mom would say that none of that parting took place until Nicole was born a year after me. But regardless, you know, we truly did have an incredible upbringing, aside from the normal older brother torture that Kris put us through. And man, if you guys thought he was creative with his talents, you should have seen some of the creative things that he did to torture us. But despite all of that, we really did have a magical childhood. We were also fortunate to have grown up in so many wonderful places, including Oahu, Maui, and Northern California. Now, when we ultimately decided to move back to Hawaii from California in the early 90s, Kris made the decision straight out of high school to stay there, where he'd stay for the remainder of his life. Over the years, while he was in California, he used to like to brag to me about how far he had come, despite not ever graduating from college. And I'll be honest, I think we were all kind of in awe at how much he was able to accomplish in his career, right? Moving from Gap Corporate to Visa to Oracle to NetApp, and finally to Google. Now, I know there's a lot of people from Google here tonight. To this day, I still don't truly know what my brother did at Google. Because from what I could see on social media, his career consisted of entirely jet-setting around the world, hanging out with friends, and then 3-hour lunch breaks. But thank you guys, all of you who had the opportunity to work with my brother, for spending these last few days sharing with us just how he was in his career. We've heard just how much he fiercely protected those he worked with. He would always include the spouses and families of his team members. He really broke down those barriers between having a personal and a work life. He never demanded from others what he wouldn't demand of himself. And you know what? He approached every aspect of his life with those same expectations. So no matter how you guys knew Kris, he knew that he protected you, He always included your entire family, and he made you feel seen, heard, and understood. Above all, none of what he did in life meant more than the two most important people to him in this room tonight, his incredible wife, Julie, and his son, Micah. Kris loved you, Julie, truly and deeply, and you were the perfect balance for him, the perfect wife for him, and you will always, always be a part of this family. Micah, the level of pride that Dad had for you had no equal. And honestly, I'm glad to hear that you inherited his laugh. Because I missed that laugh. But all of us here will continue to support and love you both, as I know Kris would want us to. How am I doing? Okay. When we all lost Kris on July 20th, the shock, pain, and depth of sorrow that we all felt was really hard to put into words. It still feels surreal. And the sudden way he left was really hard to grasp. In the days that followed, every conversation we had, every call, every text, every personal visit, all seemed to start the same way. I can't believe it. This one hurts. Please tell me this isn't true. I'll never forget the calls I had to make to Micah, to our own family, to Kris's friends, and each and every call cut a little deeper, and it's something I'll never forget. And yet, despite all of this, a wonderful thing began to happen as the news of his passing spread. We began to hear the stories. The laugh out loud memories, those shake your head, I can't believe Kris did that examples, the tales of his youth, his exploits and travels, and more importantly, what he meant to each and every one of you who was kind enough to share your experiences with us. Now, here's something I find extremely hilarious. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had at least 10 different people tell me, you know Kris was my best friend, right? Or Kapono, Kris was my best friend. Or, as Kris's best friend, but that was Kris. I couldn't believe how many people considered him to be their best friend. But that was Kris. He was the one that made each and every one of us feel like the most important person in the room. He showed care and aloha to every person he met and quickly embraced them as his own. He was dependable, generous to a fault, and entirely committed to making each of us feel special, feel heard, and feel understood. He was also so insistent on hearing what was going on in our own lives, right? Getting to know our spouses, our children, our dreams, our goals, even our problems. He embraced who we were, and he loved each of us as we were. So tonight, we celebrate and we fellowship as family of Kris Kanoho. So, as we begin our services tonight, I'm going to start as a family by giving thanks and prayer. Now, for those of you that knew my brother well enough, you know he wants this part to be a little on the short side. But he deserves to be prayed for tonight. So let's bow our heads. Father God, we meet here this evening as family to thank you for the life and legacy of Kris. You know each and every one of our stories and histories with Kris, the impact he had on each of us, and the tremendous hole he now leaves in his absence. Thank you, Father, for the 51 years we were blessed with, for the laughs, the memories, the endless conversations, and the joy that Kris brought to each and every one of our lives. So as we gather this evening to celebrate his life, we are so grateful for the time we had with him. And we ask that you allow us to live our lives the way he did, with joy, with love, and with passion. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
My name is Nicole. I'm getting started. Sorry. And I have the bittersweet honor of speaking to you today in celebration of my big brother. It's both a privilege and a heartbreak to stand here. Before I begin, I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you for holding space together, for sharing your memories, for honoring his life with your presence. I know many of you here were brought into each other's lives because of Kris. That's who he was. Someone who could walk into a room and somehow make everyone feel connected. He has this way of weaving people together, of making strangers feel like old friends. And even now, in his passing, Kris has managed to gather us again. Some of us were part of his inner circle. Others are meeting for the very first time tonight. But every single one of us is here because of Kris. My brother loved these moments, the kind where you could laugh, play music, share a good meal, and share stories. That was Kris's magic. And tonight we honor him by doing the very things he loved the most. The only difference is that he won't be participating in the sharing of stories. This time it's our turn. Whether it's up here in front of everyone or in private conversations between friends. So tonight, I'd like to speak to you as Kris's sister. I want to share just a small piece of my life with him, what I've seen in him and what he's taught me. And more than anything, what I'll miss most about him. Kris wore many hats, usually several at the same time. Kris was a devoted husband. He was a proud father. He was a musician. He was a corporate leader, a world traveler, a mentor, and a friend to many. Besides accomplishing personal success, he also achieved incredible professional success without ever having a formal degree, proving time and again that passion, drive, reputation, and determination are the keys to success. But beyond all of his accomplishments, the most beautiful thing Kris was his heart. He didn't often speak about feelings, but his generosity, his loyalty, and commitment to his family and friends spoke volumes. Most of you may have already known this, but Kris was a great storyteller. His stories were perhaps a tad bit exaggerated, but the way he told them, laughing before getting to the punchline, made you feel as if you were there in the story with him, part of it, not just a passive observer. I eventually realized what made him so good at sharing stories, and it was his ability to draw his audience in, making everyone who was listening feel like they were part of that story, rather than just listening. The same ability to draw people in as he shared a story was evident in many aspects of his life. Kris had this amazing ability to connect in an authentic and relatable way. Kris never came across as pompous and arrogant, but he had this way of including others, whether it was in real life experiences or sharing a story. This is who he was. Kris was more than just my brother. He was my compass, my guidepost, and admittedly sometimes the very reason for some of my stubbornness. Growing up as his little sister, I looked up to him. I was his biggest fan. To me, Kris was so cool, so smart, and my admiration for him was the kind of admiration that a younger sibling has towards her older sibling. I looked up to my brother. I considered him my sounding board, my protector, and in many ways, my measuring stick. So much of my own drive came from wanting to make him proud, to prove that I could do it too, that I was strong, that I was capable. And maybe I had some of his superpower. More than anything, I wanted my brother to truly see me. But as I grew older, something shifted. That longing for him to see me turned into a deeper desire for me to see him. To understand the man behind the big brother I had idolized. And once I started to see him more clearly, I wanted him to know exactly what I saw. I tried here and there to have those deep soul-level conversations, but they never quite happened the way I had hoped. So I stand here now, wishing I had found the words sooner, hoping that somehow he can hear me today. In these last few years, Kris, I started to see something I hadn't noticed before. A heaviness you carried. Maybe it was the weight of all the responsibilities you took on so willingly. Not just for your family, but for your friends, your colleagues, and for anyone who crossed your path needing guidance, support, or simply a steady hand. I wish I had reached out more. I wish I had told you that you didn't have to carry it all alone. But that was you, always leading, always protecting, always putting others first. Always quietly mentoring from the background, even when the burden felt heavy. While you were busy making sure everyone else felt seen, Kris, I saw you. I saw your tireless effort. I saw your quiet humility. I saw the moments when sadness weighed on you. I saw your pain, your steadfast loyalty, your deep love. I saw the unspoken weight you carried, not just as my big brother, but as a brother to so many others. Kris, I'll miss your laugh. I'll miss your wildly exaggerated stories. I'll miss your spontaneous phone calls and text messages. And I'll miss the reassuring feeling knowing that you would always show up for birthdays, holidays, and family trips. I miss hearing the piano and you playing the guitar. I'll miss your signature Kris look, complete with your sunglasses and Converse shoes, and always a really nice timepiece. You were seen, Kris. You were seen by your wife. You were seen by your son. You were seen by our mom. You were seen by our dad. You were seen by our brother. You were seen by your nephews and your nieces. You were seen by your brother-in-law. You were seen by your sister-in-law. You were seen by extended family members. You were seen by your friends and your colleagues. And you were seen by me. You were loved beyond measure, and you'll forever be missed. Until we meet again, Kris. Enjoy your next adventure, and say hi to Dad. I love you, Chrissy.
How do you sum that all up in a couple of minutes? You can't. You know, I can tell you that any success I've had in music, I can trace directly back to Kris. Any growth as a person, I can trace back to Kris, because he wouldn't let you slide. He made you want to be better than you were, but it never came off as judgy. It never came off as condemning. It came off as, I know you're better than that, and I know you know you're better than that. And he left you wanting to be what he thought you were. I feel like a part of me is gone. My wife and I keep talking about, you know, how are we going to make it through the rest of it without Kris, because he's been a constant since our teens. But the last thing he would want is for us to wallow in the grief. The last thing he would want is for us to just stick a pin in it and just be locked at this point in time and not move on. There's a song that I love, and there's a line in it at the end that says, to move on and be brave, don't weep at my grave, for I am no longer here. But please never let your memory of me disappear. And I think that kind of sums it up. I'll never forget Kris. I'll never stop being thankful for the family he gave me, for Micah, for Julie, for all of the Kanohos, for so many of you. I mean, the Mopuna guys, the One Group guys, so many people. But he's not here, and he would want us to move on. But as long as we keep talking about him, as long as we tell the stories, as long as we keep his name out there, he's not really gone, is he? I mean, I think that's the closest thing to immortality that anybody can wish for, is to just not be forgotten. So please tell your stories, share your memories, and keep my brother alive. Thank you.
What I'm sharing today are just small examples of how Kris impacted our lives. Our, meaning my husband Edwin and my children Max and Henry. I know there are countless others, stories we've all told, many more we haven't yet. That's just who Kris was. The way he lived, the way he gave of himself, the way he showed up. His impact is layered through every relationship in this room and he understood more than most how fleeting life is. He responded not with fear, but with fullness, with connection, with joy. He made it a point to live life packed, not with just achievements, but with people. Kris never did anything halfway, especially relationships. If you were in his circle, in his orbit, you felt it. That gravitational pull he had. Not just because he was smart, or funny, or cool, it was all of those things, but because he cared. He really cared. And he showed up, always, for all of us, repeatedly, without fanfare. He was the organizer, often the instigator, the let's just get a few people together guy. Though in Kris speak, a few never meant less than a dozen, right? His casual dinners became group dinners. His low-key hangs always turned into shared events. But because it was Kris, because he was the connective tissue, it always felt intimate. And that's because Kris gave everyone his full attention. He didn't just host, he connected. He went out of his way to figure out how he could help, how he could support, how he could lift someone else up. For Edwin, and for many of us, when there was a problem, an issue, or a big life decision, or a celebration that maybe you didn't feel like needed true celebrating, Kris was always there. Because he knew how to celebrate. He knew how to help. He knew exactly what to do. He made you feel like nothing you were going through was too heavy to share or too hard to solve. And more than that, the most, I think, of what Kris did was he made you feel less alone in it. In a very real way, Kris is responsible for there ever being Max and Henry, my children. Because Kris is the reason Edwin came to California in the United States in the first place. Edwin had developed some technology for NetApp in the Netherlands that Kris and his team were trying to integrate in the US. Kris met Edwin maybe just a couple of times, saw something in him, and extended an offer for him to come to California and join the team. From day one, Kris made it not just a professional move, he made it personal. He made sure Edwin was included, welcome, hugged, literally the first time he met Edwin. Many of Edwin's closest friends today exist because of Kris. So when it came time to choose a godfather for our son Henry, it was obvious. Henry exists in no part because Kris brought Edwin to California. We knew there was no one else who would embody the loyalty, the kindness, the leadership we wanted Henry to grow up around. And Kris took that godfather role seriously. We thought it would be fun outings, cool uncle moments, which, let's face it, Kris had in abundance. But it became much more. He loved our children like his own. He was generous in ways beyond measure. I'm not sure I'm that generous with my own children, as Kris was with them. When they were barely out of diapers and building guitars out of tissue boxes and rubber bands, Kris and Julie showed up a few weeks later with real ukuleles. Later, when Max kept sneaking over to Uncle Kris's pianos during visits, guess what appeared under the Christmas tree? A keyboard with no earplugs for the adults. And now, because of Kris, I get to hear Dynamite and Counting Stars on repeat every single day. There was also the time we were gifted a Little Tikes Cozy Coupe, you know, the red and yellow plastic cars that kids kind of Flintstone around in. The box claimed 30-minute assembly. There There were 6 adults in the room, all in tech. People Kris managed before at some point. Under Kris's leadership, it was finished 4.5 hours later. But those 4.5 hours were of laughter and teamwork. That little car, whether it would have passed a safety inspection or not, was our kids' favorite toy for years. I sincerely believe they could feel the love it took to put that thing together. That's what Kris did. He made everything an experience. He made everything better. He was the connector, the leader of the pack, but never in a loud or showy way. He didn't need to be the star. He just was. You always knew who was holding the room together, and it was Kris. Kris loved big. He loved his family. He loved his chosen family, and he loved well. He didn't love for recognition. He didn't love for show. He just did. And the most extraordinary part is that he made every single one of us feel like we were chosen. Today, we grieve someone irreplaceable, but we also celebrate someone unforgettable. Kris packed his life with more joy, more connection, more love than most people do in twice the time. He didn't just leave behind memories. He left behind a blueprint for all of us. Show up. Love hard. Make space. And always bring extra dessert. We love you, Kris, and we will keep showing up for each other the way you did for us.
One of Kris's favorite songs, and dedicated to you. Gonna miss laughing with you, brother. God bless my daddy, who's over there. Said a tiny little boy in his tiny little prayer. That is my daddy, so please take care. Said a tiny little boy in his tiny little prayer. For this is a night Mama turned out the light. Oh, how I wish you were here, so I could kiss you goodnight. I hope in dreamland we'll meet somewhere. Said a tiny little boy in his tiny little prayer. Said a tiny little boy
Micah and Julie asked me to come up and say a few words. I'm honored to be part of the Kanoho family. My wife is Carolyn's sister, and so we've had the blessing and the honor to spend a lot of our lives growing up, especially vets. I remember the first time, early on, when Chris's wonderful dad passed away. Just a beautiful heart, a Hawaiian man, just a man of God. And Kris took on the responsibility. He took it on to take care of the family. And everything you've heard, that's Kris. It's Kris. They took away 3/4 of what I was going to say, because that's Kris. But he did that with his family, and he did it lovingly. He did it firmly where he needed to. He was just always there, and he was so solid. He loved his Hawaiian nature. He loved his heritage. His first album was Mohuna. And that's really honoring the legacy. You can see it, the tattoos that he wore, they had meaning to them because being Hawaiian was important to him. And he so beautifully embodied that Hawaiian culture. Aloha and ohana. He took it to the level that it's beautiful. The ha, the breath of life. There's a joy to it that mixes with the love. It's the ohana. I was fortunate to be part of his ohana, but it's also expanded when you get to hanai, and that's also near ohana everyone. And that's what he did. That's how he lived his life. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And we were able to witness that. I in many ways represent the Shino family. That's Carolyn's family from Kauai. Oh, excuse me. I'm a little bit of a klutz, and sometimes I just break out and talk to God. So if I do, just bear with me. Sometimes it happens. But we so loved having Carolyn's family be part of the Shino family and the Hawaiian nature. It was just so wonderful. All the different events we got. The measure of time was Micah. We could see every time how much bigger he gets every time we see him. I remember when he had his first album, and it was with the One Groove, and he started his new little record company. Everybody's all excited because he was becoming a star. In Hawaii, we're listening to each song as it rose up in the ratings, and hey, Kris is getting to #1, and then the next CD, the next one would come out, and so we would just be able to celebrate with Kris and how he was just really making a beautiful name for himself, and we were just so proud. We had, I think, family reunion where we got together. He was just so cool with the cousins, and so cool with the uncles, and just so much fun to be around. My sons, they went to San Francisco. Well, we knew they were safe because Kris was there. They could go to San Francisco, and they've got stories to tell. Everybody's got stories to tell about Kris and how he lived. We had weddings, lots of weddings that we got to go to. Each one was special. Kapono's, it was the bachelor party that was kind of special there. That he invited me, and my head still hurts. Kris made it so much fun, and it was a blast. Of course, they were all a little bit afraid that Auntie, my wife, would get upset because, and we kind of brought my younger son along with us, and so he was still in high school, but boy, what a party, and we had so much fun. I remember the beautiful wedding that we went to of Julie and Kris. Interestingly, I remember the wedding, Nicole and Jason. Well, that one was it was really amazing. It was in Vancouver, and it was beautiful. They had this special little area, and Kris was going to play, right? So this was a formal thing, you know. I mean, it was really nice. And so where's Kris? Well, Kris comes walking in, and he's got shorts, flip-flops, and an aloha shirt. Everybody else is all formal, and I didn't know the dress code, and it was such a fun time, and we just cherished every moment that we had. You know, we had so many different types of get-togethers. I was blessed that I had to, he had to share with me, as he went through different aspects of his life, from the different the career moves, and of course Micah, the last, I was blessed that the last time we saw him was actually the day before he passed away. And it was my grandson's first birthday, and it was the two people he spoke of most dearly, of course, was Julie, and wanting to spend the time with them as they celebrate their next anniversary. I was so looking forward to that. And Micah, and how he was just so proud of Micah, and so just overjoyed with him, and it was such a shock, right? It was such a shock. But I think, he was standing on the sand, and he was in the ocean, and there were the beautiful ko'olaus, and he left one paradise to go to the next, and he would want us to all just have the joy, and share that joy. So I just want you to know, the family, of course, the whole Shino family so loves and supports you and cherishes you and Kris. He was such an anchor, such a blessing. Thank you for this time.
And at that age, I didn't quite understand why he had to go so far away. And you could tell I was bummed out about that. And so before he left, he helped me set up my very first email account. He wrote down his address, showed me how to use it, and promised to write back to me every single night. And sure enough, every evening there was a message waiting for me in my inbox. There was stories about what he ate and what he saw and who he met, and all the fun that he was having. And the world slowly started to come to life through his words. But no matter what he wrote about, he always signed off the message the exact same way. Hey, Micah, man. If ever you miss me and you need something to remind me of you, do me a favor and punch yourself in the balls. And that was Dad. He never really was one for sloppy goodbyes. He was always more likely to leave you with a smirk rather than a tear. And with how much he traveled, he got pretty damn good at that. Dad was a man of many talents. He was an incredible storyteller, a steadfast leader, a musical savant, and the baddest slack key guitar player around. But his greatest feat, the one that left everyone perplexed as to how he did it, was being able to travel 260 days out of the year and still keep his job. And personally, I blame Google. What the hell you guys do over there? I watched this guy take meetings from a pool bar in Aruba. I just kind of let it happen. Are you guys hiring? It was no surprise to anyone that Dad loved to travel a lot. And if you ever needed to know where Dad was, chances are I didn't even know where he was. I'd find out about his whereabouts just like everybody else, through Facebook. One week he's in Tokyo and Dubai, and the next week he's in Vegas at a Sarah McLachlan concert for some reason. And it definitely seemed like Dad spent more nights in hotel sheets than his own. But the truth is, I don't think Dad ever thought of home as a place with four walls and a mortgage. Home to him was something he carried with him. He found it in all of us, in the late night jam sessions, and the crass humor that he would leave on your Facebook photos. Home was with those he confided in, those he laughed with, and those that he showed up for. And if you're in this room tonight, the chances are he made you feel like you were at home even when you were with him. And that was his gift. The more I traveled with Dad, the more I started to realize it didn't matter where we were or what we were doing. We could have been traveling anywhere or nowhere. Because what I valued more than anything in this world was just being able to spend time with him. And that was the destination. That was my home. Being with my best friend, my hero, the one I would have followed to the ends of this earth because just being near him made the world make a little more sense. Dad understood more than anyone that the time we spend with one another is a precious, precious thing. And it's often few and far between. And so he made sure that he lived his life accordingly. He may have left this world too soon, but he didn't leave it empty. He squeezed every single last drop out of this life. And no matter where he went, he made sure to share pieces of home all around the world and all of us. And so in closing, if you want to honor my dad, you don't need to build a shrine or a statue, but build a memory. Share a story. I'm sure you can even roast him a little bit too. He's not going to care. You can cry, but also make sure to laugh. Keep his spirit alive in your next adventure, in your next joke, and in your next toast. Because that's where he's always going to be. Not in one place, but in every connection, every laugh, and every moment worth remembering. And if ever you need to remind yourself of him, just remember to punch yourself in the balls. Thank you. Love you, Dad.
There's so many things to love about you. Of course, he's very handsome. We met 14 years ago. At the time, you asked me what kind of person I was looking for. I remember I said, of course, beside everything else, physical, I said, kind by heart. Little did I know, God had already answered my prayer. 10 years of marriage, you have shown me you are extraordinarily kind and sweet to me. It's not just that. Your kindness radiates to every person you met. Sometimes I got upset or mad. I asked you, because sometimes you put yourself in an exhausted position and you still help people. But you simply said, if you want a husband who is kind at heart, then that kindness must be a constant, not a variable. You prioritize to make a difference in life over your own well-being. I never heard you don't like anyone. You have a way turning even unfriendliness of people into friends. It's a testimony to your loving spirit. Your closest friends were not just friends, they were your brothers and sisters. And even when someone was unkind to you, you showed them more compassion. It's amazing how you did it. You are to me a walking Bible. And by the way, he knows a lot of Bible verse than anyone else that I know. I love how smart and witty you are. You can be a quick learner, but nothing is without hard work. When you're interested in a subject, you spend 200%, 300% to learn. I always said you have this iPadholic disease. Every day, hours before work, maybe 4 a.m., 5 a.m., till late tonight, you'll be on your iPad learning. Listen to YouTube learning. Listen to podcasts learning. Even in shower, you blast your iPad learning. Driving, when you're not on a conference call, you'll be listening and learning. Just like how you create music. You never stop fine-tune and fine-tune and fine-tune to refine your knowledge. For example, you learn about whiskey. And what I love about you is you're not a drinker. But you learn the whole production process, from the crops to the final products. You learn from your friends. And that's how conversations start. From scotch, whiskey, to bourbon, you know it all. And it's not just reading and listening about it. You travel around the world to see it firsthand and witness the craft in real time. You learn about music production and engineering about 12 years ago. It was very painful for my ears in the early days. You were perfect every pitch. I know Luke must understand that part. Every note. The first song took over a year to produce, but with your iPadholic way of learning, the recent songs would take you only days to produce. Of course, work is a priority. You never stop learning. From machine learning to the world of AI, artificial intelligence, you embrace every new challenge that came your way. You were always one step ahead. In the process, I also got to listen and learn, and I thank you for leading me all these years. And you're not stingy to share knowledge. You share with whoever is interested. Well, this year, a couple of people that you love passed away as well. I hope you meet up with your grandma, Kanoho, and cracking jokes with her, and have a drink or craft feast with Bridget. You constantly do beautiful things for people quietly. You quietly hide in your health situation. Then you quietly left us. But the impact you have left to me and people around you have not left us. It has shaped me, inspired me to live with more compassion. I will cherish the treasure we have built together. And thank you for being my husband. I will always love you in my heart. Thank you everyone for coming here today. All the families and friends that have reached out from all over the world. From the Bay Area, New York, Austin, India, Singapore, UK, Netherlands, all over the world. Thank you for all your messages. And one last thing is, before we got married, one of the promises we make to each other is that we don't go to bed mad at each other, no matter what happened in the daytime. Remember that, everyone. We play hard, we work hard, but we also work hard. Sometimes we don't even see each other for the whole day. And therefore, the only regard I have is I wish we could hug and kiss more often, every day. Therefore, everyone please stand up. I ask you to stand up if you can. Let's use the next 30 seconds, hug and express your love to your spouse or neighbor. Let's stand.
have to thank a few people. Number one, Valley of the Temple. Thank you guys so much for hosting us today. Our awesome family and caterers, cousins Tammy and Danny Smith, and the Ohana with Haliki Aloha. Stephen Espaniola, Bobby Santos, Kavika Kahiapo, Kevin Yee for bringing together all of our incredible musicians here tonight to celebrate Kris. The entire Kanoho, Shino, Hole, Smith, and Matsuda families who are so important to us this evening. Our church Ohanas at Grace Bible Church, as well as our Christian Fellowship for all of their support this week. And to you all, our family, who have traveled near and far to be with us this evening, thank you. So, I did want to share 3 important things, and then we're going to call it a night before we go out there and celebrate the way Kris would want. Number 1, we realize that some of you may not have had a chance to visit with the family and show your aloha prior to the service. But my brother would not want you all to be waiting in line while there's food and music to be had. So, when this is done, we are all going out, family too. Come and talk to us, come and give us a hug, come and share your stories with us, but let's celebrate out there together, the way Kris would want us to. Secondly, be grateful that Kris and Julie ultimately decided against cremation. Because, and some of you may have heard this story, he would always tell me, Kapono, when I pass, I want to be cremated and mixed into fruit punch. I want you to take that bowl to my funeral. I want to test to see which one of my friends love me enough to, quote, partake of me. So be grateful. And last of all, we love you all. And thank you for being here this evening. We love you, Kris. Now let's celebrate his life. Aloha. By the way, it's really anticlimactic, but I have a pair of lost keys that were found. It is a Seahawks logo, so obviously someone not as intelligent as a 49ers fan. Come and find me later. We love you guys. Aloha.